I was trapped in my car during a snowstorm, and something was trying to get in. I should have turned back an hour ago. The road's gone now. Just a whisper under the snow. My wipers gave up 10 minutes back, frozen stiff and smearing white instead of clearing it. Headlights press against the flurry like fists in cotton, doing nothing. I'm not even sure what lane I'm on. Somewhere between Abergavenny and Brecon, on one of those B roads that snakes between empty farmland and forest. It's been snowing since late afternoon. At first it was soft, flakes that vanished when they hit the windscreen. Now it's thick, wind-driven, snow that sticks, that sinks, that swallows. I pull over because I can't see anymore, because the steering wheel's vibrating from ice, because if I go even 10 feet farther, I might not come back. I kill the engine. The world doesn't go quiet, it goes muffled. It's only when the heater dies that I realize how deep the cold is. The silence inside the car is weird, artificial, the kind that makes you hyper-aware of yourself. The way your jeans crinkle when you shift, the tick of the dashboard settling, your own breath fogging the air. I check my phone. 7% battery, no signal. Figures. I'm not scared yet, just annoyed. I pull the blanket from the back seat, wrap it over my legs, crack open the thermos, lukewarm coffee. It tastes like burnt pennies. Somewhere in the trees to my left, a branch snaps. I freeze, just wind. Has to be, I tell myself that a few times. Then I hear something else, a low dragging noise, soft but deliberate, snow being disturbed. I sit up, peer through the fogged windscreen, nothing but white. 10 minutes pass, maybe 20. I try to ration the heat in my body. Gloves stay on. I pull my arms inside my coat and cross them over my chest. The cold isn't sharp, it's creeping. A living thing, finding seams, working its way into joints, ears, ankles. I distract myself. Think about dinner plans, the job I need to call. Back about, then I hear it again. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. Too slow for deer, too heavy for fox. It's pacing, circling. My hand slides toward the driver's side window. Wipes the condensation. There, a shape, tall, not moving, just a silhouette behind the snow. I blink, it's gone. Right, I mutter. Right. Okay. I start the car. The engine stutters, groans, dies. I try again. Nothing but a click. The battery's frozen or flooded, I swear softly, fogging the inside of the windscreen even more. Behind me, in the mirrors, nothing. I shift in my seat. Try the heater again. Nothing. Now the silence is watching. Half an hour later, my toes are numb. The shape hasn't come back. But something taps the rear window, once soft, like a knuckle testing glass. I turn around fast enough to make my neck cramp. Nothing. But now I'm sweating under the blanket. Something's out there, and it's not going away. I think about getting out, digging out, walking, but where? Even if I knew which direction the road went, I couldn't see 5 feet. And if something is circling me, walking into the white would be like handing it a knife. No, I stay. I breathe through my nose, try not to fog up the windows too much. There's a knock. Driver side, 3 taps. Rhythmic, like a question. I flinch so hard the thermos spills on my leg. I turn slowly, heart beating in my throat. There's a shape against the glass, but it's not a hand, it's longer. Jointed the wrong way, like an elbow that forgot how to be an elbow. It drags downwards, squealing faintly against the frozen window. I don't breathe. It vanishes. Then, from the passenger side, laughter. Not loud, not right. Like someone trying to remember what laughter is supposed to sound like. Too wet, too slow. I whisper, "No, no, no, no." The door handle clicks. Once, twice, testing. I lean across and lock it manually. My fingers burn from the metal. Then I hunch down behind the steering wheel, eyes barely over the dash, breathing shallow. Then I see it. Not the whole thing. Just its feet, hooved, but wrong. Bent too far back like something stitched together from memory. It's standing directly in front of the car, facing me. I close my eyes. I count. I listen. When I open them again, it's gone. The snow presses harder against the car now. VR's airs like needles. I wrap the blanket tighter, curl into myself, tuck my hands under my thighs, fingers tingling, teeth chattering. I think of a fire, a pub, the smell of frying onions. Then I hear my mother's voice, outside, calling my name, sweetheart. Soft, sweet, wrong. She's been dead for 3 years. I shake, not from the cold this time, from the sound of her feet crunching toward the window. My mother's voice again, sweetheart. Open the door. She sounds like she used to when I was a boy and stayed too long outside, warm, patient, but I'm 36. And she's buried in Bexhill. The snow hushes everything but her voice. It weaves in through the glass and stitches itself around my ribs. Sweetheart, please. It's cold. I clamp my hands over my ears. I whisper to myself. I repeat facts. This is not real. I'm in a car. I'm suffering mild hypothermia. Auditory hallucinations are common. Then tap, tap on the passenger side glass. I dare a look. There's something standing there. Not her. Tall, covered in matted, wet fur that sticks to a torso too long. Arms that hang low. Its head tilts like a crow listening for something in the soil. I see only the corner of its jaw, too wide, loose skin dragging over the bone. And then it smiles, or tries to. The cheeks pull upward, splitting at the corners like paper. Behind the skin, teeth, not rows, layers. I scream without sound. My breath fogs the glass. The thing leans in and whispers in a voice not made for breath. Let me in, sweetheart. I wake up with a jolt. Daylight, pale, sickly, stretched thin over the horizon. The snowstorm has slowed. Everything's soft, still. The car windows are glazed with frost, but nothing's outside. No tracks, no marks, no sign of anything. My joints scream, my mouth tastes like blood. I must have bit my tongue in my sleep. Sleep God, I slept. With that out there, I unlock the door slowly, step out into the cold. The snow is almost waist deep, but soft now. Powder. I wade around the car. Nothing. But then, there, a single hoof print behind the vehicle, pressed deep, almost burned in, like the snow melted around it before refreezing. I stare. At it for a long time. I don't breathe. I make it to the nearest town just past midday. I walk. 2.5 miles, I think. I don't remember most of it. Just flashes. Tree trunks like columns. Light spinning through branches. A man at tea. A petrol station stares as I stumble inside. He gives me tea, calls someone. When the police come, I tell them I got stuck. Slept in the car. Frostbite in my fingertips. I do not mention the voice or the smile or the way it knew my name. They found the car later. They tell me there were scratch marks on all 4 doors. They tell me the roof had been dented inward, like something heavy had lain on it all night. They show me a photo of a trail leading away from the car, a single line of footprints, then nothing, as if it just disappeared. It's been a week since this happened. I haven't left my flat. Keep the curtains shut, the kettle full, the heating on. Sometimes at night I think I hear the wind again. Sometimes I swear I see frost on the inside of the window, and once, just once, I thought I heard her voice again, calling my name. But the thing that terrifies me most, I want to answer it. I want to open the door because I know, whatever it is, it's not done with me. They threw a dinner party to steal my baby, and my husband knew. So how's that baby brewing up? Harry asked while pouring everyone a glass of wine, except me. He's been playing a lot of soccer in there, I'll tell you that, I answered, laughing and placing my hands on the belly. But hopefully he'll get out soon enough, Harry chuckled, and he and my husband got back to discussing whatever detail was left in the production's calendar. Tanya, Harry's wife, the other hand, didn't laugh at all. Instead, she stared at me with a blank expression I couldn't quite decipher. They were the ones who had invited us over for dinner to celebrate the deal my husband had signed with Harry's production company. Why is she acting like that? wondered. But honestly, I wouldn't let her ruin what was one of the happiest moments of our lives. A few months ago, we had been living in a cramped studio downtown with 2 unpaid rents, and now we were having dinner with this big-shot producer for a movie my husband would be writing. Every day I woke up thanking God we had this before the baby was born. I was 7 months pregnant. If putting up with this woman looking at me like I was a zoo animal was the price for all this, then I'd gladly pay it. But things got weird when I, feeling nauseous, excused myself to go to the bathroom, as I had many times that night. And as I was washing my hands to get back, I heard a knock on the door. "I'm leaving," I called out to whoever was on the other side. When I opened it, it was Tanya. She stood there, glancing over her shoulder, as if checking for anyone. "You need to get out," she whispered like she was sharing a secret, "or they'll take your baby." Before I could even ask, "What?" she turned around and walked back to the room where our husbands were. I sat back at the table, uneasy. What did she mean? Did I hear her correctly? Across from me, Tanya focused on the men's conversation, avoiding eye contact, pretending she hadn't just said what she did. Minutes passed in silence between me and her, while the men's discussion grew louder as they drank more. "This is really a special moment," Harry said to my husband in an emotional voice. "I remember when Tanya was pregnant. She was the most beautiful." Harry then awkwardly placed his hand over hers, and she responded with a half smile. "What happened?" I blurted out, curious after the whole bathroom incident. They exchanged glances, and I saw my husband look away, uncomfortable. Harry opened his mouth to answer, but Tanya spoke first. "I lost it," she said, locking eyes with me before shifting her gaze to her husband. But I guess it was worth it. Her face was a mix of cynicism and sadness. Harry quickly got up and asked her to help him set the dessert from the kitchen. She followed without protest. Something about all of this set off a strong alarm in my high mind. And it got worse when I heard a heated whispering argument erupt between Tanya and Harry in the kitchen, and my husband's reaction was the worst. He sat right beside me, silent, and wore the most guilty, ashamed face I had ever seen in my life. That's when the doorbell rang. Harry came sprinting out of the kitchen to open it. An old, grumpy-looking man stepped in, and I knew who he was, because my husband had described him before. It was the movie's director. Harry and my husband treated him like a king, showering him with praise and filling his wine glass, but he remained stone-faced. The only moment of joy I witnessed was when he greeted me and noticed my belly. His lips stretched into a broad grin that sent chills down my spine. "You never told me he was coming," I whispered to my husband. "He and the crew were nearby and decided to drop by. It won't take long. But I really wanted to leave now," I continued, trying to be polite. "I'm not feeling well." "I promise we'll go right after dessert," he said with a drunken smile. "Everyone talks about Tanya's cheesecake. They say it's incredible. We have to try it." Obviously, dessert was the last thing on my mind now. My anxiety grew as more and more people started coming through that door. The costume designer, the head of makeup, the VFX director, even a few of the actors, they all started showing up one by one. They greeted each other, then turned to look at me like I was the main star of some twisted movie playing out in this house. Then Tanya came back from the kitchen, carrying a tray of small plates for the crew. I could see in her face she despised them. But mine was brought by Harry himself, who carried the plate carefully, like it was some precious treasure. As he placed it in front of me, I felt every eye in the room shift toward me, and an eerie silence settled. I looked at the cheesecake. It did look good, but I was certain now there was something more in it. I definitely shouldn't eat it. "I'm a bit unwell right now," I said. "Maybe I'll eat it later." "Honey, at least give it a bite," my husband said, while Harry still stood in front of us waiting. "I'm just not that hungry. Can't we take it home instead?" The tension in the room was suffocating. My husband's demeanor shifted instantly, his expression darkening as he gripped my arm. "Honey, don't be rude." His face a mix of menace and desperation. "Eat the cake. These people are helping us." That answer was proof he knew very well about whatever was going on. I hesitated, staring at the plate for a few seconds, my mind racing. But before I could speak, Tanya placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "She's just having a wave of nausea," she said, her voice calm. I sure remember how bad it felt. I'll just take her to the bathroom 1 second to freshen up. Harry wasn't happy, but he sighed and nodded. Fine, but be quick. Tanya helped me up, keeping her grip steady as we walked hand in hand toward the hallway. The moment we were out of sight, she pulled a car key from her pocket and pressed it into my palm. Take my car, she whispered. It's parked outside. Second on the left. My heart pounded. What about you? They already took everything I had, her eyes welled with tears. I'll be fine. Just go. Now. I followed her into the bathroom where she locked the door behind us and helped me jump through the window. I ran to the spot she pointed as fast as a 7 months pregnant woman could. My hands trembled as I fumbled with the key, but as the engine roared to life, I floored it. In the rearview mirror, I saw the house shrinking in the distance while my phone buzzed with calls from my husband. I woke up in an unfamiliar building. The people there weren't human. One morning last November, I awoke in an unfamiliar bedroom. Its walls were light grey. The room itself was smaller, and there was no dresser at the foot of the bed. Hanging on the wall in front of me was a huge portrait of a man with black hair and a clean-shaven face who looked as young as 30. To the left of the bed, there was a black nightstand with a lamp. There was nothing to the right. The blinds on the window were up, and all I could see from the bed were the tips of trees. I got up, then peeked out the window to see a vast forest with tons of hills, and overall, just trees. There was nothing indicating exactly where I was. Was I still in Jersey? I didn't recognize this area at all. Why was I here? I couldn't recall visiting anybody the previous night, and no family gatherings were taking place. I walked over to the door, then pulled the handle. The door clicked as it opened and revealed a hallway too long to see the end of. White walls lined with white doors. It felt like a hotel, but hotel rooms aren't as tiny as the bedroom I was in. I looked to my right to see the same thing. Then I looked to my left, same thing. I reached into my pocket for my phone, but I couldn't feel it. I reached into my other pockets. No phone or anything. One of the doors clicked open. I peeked out and saw a man with a wrinkled face and white hair walking in my direction. He made an intense level of eye contact with me, like he was staring into my soul. "Hey, get back into your room and stay there," he told me. What was this man expecting from me in this situation? I had to ask. Where am I? Just stay. In your room. I don't know where I am. Can you tell me? You're in your room. What kind of ass was he? The man walked over to me, gesturing for me to get back into the room. I backed in. Then the man shut the door. I was kidnapped by someone or some group of people. I'm not sure how. I'm not even sure how I didn't wake up during said kidnapping. What did they do to me? I checked everything I could for evidence, but found nothing. I had to find out where I was and why, and how to. It had to have been hours, sitting on the edge of the bed, pacing around by the door, wondering what was about to happen to me. My hands were cold and shaky. I wanted to take my mind off of this by thinking about stuff that interested me. But I couldn't do such for long, without anxious thoughts distracting me. As the sun set, that creepy man came back in with my phone in his left hand. He tossed it onto the bed, then shut the door without saying a word. I grabbed the phone, then started it up. Now, the first thing on my mind was to call the police. Did they not know I'd do that? Well, of course they did, as the phone and text apps crashed each time I attempted to get them open. I tapped Google. It opened, but gave me an error page. I'm unsure as to why they even gave me my phone back in the first place. Whatever. I laid back down, then eventually fell asleep. I woke up sometime in the middle of the night to a hum coming from somewhere outside. I got up from my bed, then took a peek through the blinds. A bright white orb flew by. It was followed by a red orb at a higher altitude, then a yellow one, then another white one. I took my phone out, hoping I could record the things, but as I filmed, no more flew by. The humming stopped, leaving a dead silence. I stopped recording, then played the video back. I got the humming at least. The next morning I had just woken up when the man walked in and told me to come with him. I looked at him with heavy, half-open eyes. I just woke up. The man walked over and slapped me across the forehead, then took my hand and pulled me off the bed. My heart sank. Great. What was I expecting? What the hell did he want? I guess I must follow him. I followed the man through the long hallway. I'm not kidding. It took a minute to get to a point where I could make out the end of it. After some more walking, we reached two double doors guarded by two men in dark, tactical gear. They opened up the doors for us. The room I stepped into was huge, filled with people sitting at round tables. Pictures of more unknown people, young and old, lined the walls. As I stepped in, everyone went silent and glanced at me. In no time, these glances turned into penetrating stares. I looked at the stage in front of me. It was adorned by a magenta carpet. Those damn staring eyes, though. Chills ran down my spine as I climbed up the steps. The man walked up to the microphone while I stuck to his left. As I stopped beside him, I looked at the crowd. The stares, the silence. It was off. Why was I so important? Why did I need to be here? I don't want to be here. The man took the mic, then began speaking in a language I didn't recognize. It sounded like a mix of languages I did know. Korean, French, and some English too. It was like I could both understand and not understand the words. Whatever he said, it broke the silence in the crowd, because they all applauded and cheered. The man spoke again for a minute, then the lights dimmed. The man leaned in and whispered into my ear in English, "Turn and look, lay down so you can be strapped." I turned to see two black metal tables. On the leftmost table was a set of 3 belt straps. On the rightmost was a white bowl. The man walked me over to the leftmost table. I laid down in the spot I was instructed to. Then the man strapped me in. One strap went over my legs, the second over my hips, and the third over my chest. The straps were tight to the point of discomfort, but that wasn't the worst part. The man walked over to the table adjacent to mine, picked up the round white helmet, then placed it on his head. He then grabbed a small white remote, then laid on his back across the table. He lifted his head, then mine followed suit. At first I thought it was an odd twitch. Then he laid his head back down and mine followed. He repeatedly moved his head up and down. Mine followed each time. He had complete control over me. How was he doing this? Since when have we had that kind of technology? There wasn't even a helmet on my head. The crowd applauded. Was this the first time they were seeing this? The man got off the table, my body matching his movements, and stood on his feet. It felt so weird, not even like I was twitching. I was just moving along, with zero control over myself. The audience continued their applause and cheer. It may have not seemed so bad in theory, but what happened next is what freaked me out. The man spoke his language again. Then 2 girls about the same height as me, one brunette and the other blonde, rolled a square glass tank of water in front of me. They both looked into my eyes, smiling. The man took 3 steps forward, including one big one that had me dipping into the water. I was sat down in the water. In seconds, I felt a burning on my skin. It got intense. I tried to do so, much as flinch. I wanted out of it, but I couldn't move at all, not even a pinky. The burning became hell, like 100 knives piercing the area below my chest. I became lightheaded. Both girls put their hands on my head, then pushed it forward into the water. Pain hit every bit of my face. The girls let go. Then my head jolted back up. Eventually I lost consciousness. I woke up in that bed again in the middle of the night. It took a couple seconds, but I recalled the excruciating pain from I wasn't sure how much time earlier. Then my stomach sank. Hopefully, I wasn't going to go through that shit ever again. I had to get out of this place before something like it did. I got up, bones aching, hopping off my bed and gunning for the door with all the might I had left. The handle wouldn't budge. I went over to the window, unlocked the thing, then pushed it up. There was a net, so I clawed at it. It only took me a moment to put a hole in it. I tore the net up until there was a big enough hole for me to climb through. I poked my head out. It was too dark to see anything, but I started climbing out. Then I recalled how high up I was. I was above the trees. I could die if I jumped. My stomach sank further. How the hell was I going to get out of this place? Then I heard a male voice coming from the next window to my right. Someone tried that and died. I shook. What? Who are you? I woke. Up here and have no idea why, he said. You two, do you understand what those people out there are saying? I asked. No, it's gibberish to me, he said. Have you been put on a table and controlled by one of them? I asked. Nick sighed. Yes, I've never fainted from searing pain before. Do you know where we are? I asked. No, he said. One of my friends claimed he knew but couldn't find the words to explain it. All his words came out muffled. Where is he now? I asked. He's the somebody who jumped from his window, he said. It's just been a strange day or two, I said. Maybe it's all done now, and I'll be let back home. I've been here for weeks, he said. My heart dropped. What? I'm sorry, you're not getting out of here, he said. What's your name? I asked. Nick, he said. You? Cole, I said. I probably won't be able to sleep now, as if I could a minute ago. The next morning my mind was numb. How? Long was I going to be here? Months, years? The next day nothing of note happened. I was in the room all day, given breakfast, lunch, then dinner. The food here tasted great, but I couldn't make out what it was. It resembled food I was familiar with, but didn't quite match, appearance-wise. That night, Nick and I had another discussion at our windows. This time Nick was hungry for action. We need to get one of their phones and see if they use anything that could tell us where we are, he said. We can get one by strangling one of the dudes in the bathroom. I've never strangled anyone before, I said. You won't need to, Nick said. I'll go in when I hear somebody walk in, then I'll press the bathroom button. I'll go in, get the dude to open his stall, kick him, then strangle him. Now, anytime I've seen any of these people use a phone, they use the finger scanner instead of punching in a password. I'll use the dude's finger to unlock the phone, record a video of me going through it, then I'll hum to myself. That'll be your... Claire, press the bathroom button, and when I hear your door, I'll set the phone down on the dude. I'll walk out, then you can go in and find him in his stall. Record yourself going through his phone. After that, don't worry about the man. Make it look like he had fallen asleep. There's no way we'd convince anyone that they'd just fallen. Asleep, I said. I don't care if we fail, I just want answers, Nick said. Besides, there are no security cameras in the stalls. I'll just roll under into the next one and, Couldn't one of us do this on our own? I asked. I need a friend to do something with, Nick said. Couldn't we just... Take his phone, I asked. They'd track it down, Nick said. We would get caught doing this whole thing, I said. Just as long as you do your thing before they check up on the dude, you'll be good, Nick said. An hour later, we started. The mission. I listened as Nick's door was opened. I heard his footsteps, then silence. A moment later, he started humming, I hit the button. My door was opened by the blonde man from the event. He stood over me. I walked out of the room, jumping as the man put his hand on my upper back. The man stuck to my left as he walked me to the bathroom. Nick came and walked by from the opposite direction. I tried to breathe as slowly and quietly as possible. Once I was in the bathroom, I sped right into one of the stalls. As I noticed, the unconscious man's phone lying on the back of the toilet. I pulled my phone out, opened the camera app, hit record, then grabbing the man's phone. I recorded quite a bit, filming myself going through the man's phone. The apps on the phone had 3D graphics of various shapes and symbols. Some logos were animated, bouncy balls, spinning wheels. The names of the apps were symbols as well. Some of them vaguely looked like cursive Roman numerals. I tapped on each of the apps. One of them brought me to a photo-sharing app like Instagram, another to what looked like a search engine, but one of the apps on the bottom took me to an aerial view of a wide white building on a ridge. I tapped one of the little symbols on the top right. There was a very quick zoom out to what was clearly a map of a world. There were 2 big green blotches around the center and some more green along the bottom, all surrounded by blue. There was a dotted equatorial line along the middle. I couldn't make out any of the continents as any I knew. I closed the app, then continued to go through the others. Eventually, I stopped recording, slid my phone back into my right pocket. Then I had a thought. If I can't take the man's phone as evidence, why not a strand of his hair? I pulled a strand from his head, then stuffed it in my pocket. I placed the man's phone face down on the tiled floor, then sped out of the bathroom. That night I played the recording for Nick, doing my best to ignore the gusts of chilly night wind hitting my face. He squinted as he watched the recording from his window. I'm just confused, and I said, did that man have a fantasy world map on his phone that this building is a part of? Or was that telepath technology suggesting something else? I don't know, man, Nick said. I just hope I can get out of here and go home. I miss the warmth of familiarity. If I do, I'm going to hug my sister and keep learning how to play the guitar. I felt warm hearing that, a warmth I hadn't felt in a while. I just wanted familiarity, as well as my friends, family, town, and soothing music. I wasn't spending another minute here, let alone 3 weeks. Who are the freaks running this place? Where even is this place? What was up with the technology here? Why was I dunked into a tank of searing pain, and the truth would drive me to suicide? I wanted out, and I wanted to out alive. But how? Was I going to do that? I'd probably be tortured if I tried. Speaking of tortured, for a few nights I called out to Nick from my window, but he didn't answer. He had to have been figured out. He knocked one of those men unconscious, so who knows what they would do to him. Once night he answered to his name being called. I asked him about the past few nights. He told me he didn't want to talk about it. There was a shakiness in his voice when he spoke. 3 weeks into my stay, I was getting used to the routine. Wake up wondering why I'm here, eat the breakfast resembling waffles handed to me on a tray, then go into that auditorium to watch high-quality videos of people being operated on. These videos were easy for me to stomach, and I started to find the human body a little interesting, despite my confusion as to why I was being shown these videos in the first place. 2 months into my stay, the routine continued. I had to do some more of those stage performances. Those fucking stage performances. That same man with that same helmet put me through everything. I was made to eat 50 insects. Chills ran down my spine when I saw that plate. None of the insects even looked like they were from Earth. Some were long like centipedes, but larger than normal and had a series of mini spikes up and down their backs. Some of the insects were round and looked blurry, while others were brown and shaped like stars. I shivered right down to my soul each bite, each swallow. But hey, I wasn't in pain. Although I wanted to learn how to willfully slip into unconsciousness, I felt like puking when the abnormal centipede went into my mouth. I teared up as its spikes grazes into my gums. Then, as I swallowed it, I shuddered harder than ever. I did my best to move even a tiny bit, but no amount of fear broke the mind control. I also noticed, over time, my phone's clock became more inaccurate to the time of day. At first by an hour, then by 2, and so on. I didn't care to change it. Though, it was the least of my worries, but those fucking stage showcases, some more of the things I was mind-controlled into doing, were eating food to the point my body couldn't take it. And I had to barf it up, sit in sleep-deprived positions overnight, watch videos of people being attacked by animals, watch, surprisingly, high-quality videos of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, people being blown up on battlefields, 9/11, along with people dying in a mall disaster. I couldn't tell if I was being toyed with or tested on in some way. It was hell, to say the least. 4 months in, I was numb. I had been forced to face my worst phobias to the point where I stopped caring about them. I had watched every video of every tragedy from the past 30 years, along with some tragedies I somehow never heard of. Too bad the pain still hurt. Cuts, fucking burns, the liquid. I'm not going into any more detail than that it was stuff I would never wish on anyone, ever. After the burns in particular, once I got back to my room, my guts were in a dark pit. I ran up to the window, once again wondering if I could survive a fall. Maybe if I did something differently, no, I'd be captured. I took my index nail, then scratched a message into the glass. Help, they're burning and cutting us. I told Nick to do the same thing, but he revealed, with his pale face and bags, under his eyes he had scratched a very similar message into his room's window weeks ago. At some point, I started getting this slight pain on the side of my head. These sadists probably did something screwed up while I was asleep one night. Fuck this place. I was sure nothing would change, until sometime that night when I woke to a blinding light. I covered my eyes. Within a moment, it was gone, and everything was dark. What the hell was that about? Just another weird thing about this place. I hadn't experienced that before. Anyway, it's still night, so I need to try to get back to sleep. As I shut my eyes, a loud bang rocked the building. Everything in the room shook. This was followed by another bang. Then another. An alarm went off. I sat up. I heard a series of footsteps. They got louder and louder until my door was busted off its hinges. At least that's what it sounded like. It was nearly pitch dark. Two figures with a faint green glow in their eyes, or goggles, barged in. "We are here to rescue you," one of them said. I understood them, and this was my way out. Finally, they both walked up to me, then grabbed me by the arms. I was walked out of the room as gunshots rang in the distance. The lights in the place flickered on and off a couple times as I was ushered along the hallway leading away from my room. A door clicked, then a few deep growls sent chills down my spine. I had never heard those here. A fucking animal jumped at me, knocking me over. A sharp pain hit my arm as one of the beasts bit me. It felt like its teeth moved independently from its mouth. A couple of nearby gunshots deafened me. I kicked at the beast and held its mouth shut until it grunted and stopped moving. I got up as the gunshots stopped, but there was another deep growl behind me. I ran through the dark, heart in my stomach. There was a light shining out of the auditorium. As I got close to the double doors, two tall and wide humanoid silhouettes busted through them, distant screams, only to be shot down by three silhouetted people behind. My hands were cold. I was shaking. There was hope. It was too dark to tell who would reach me first. There was nowhere to hide for the bathroom door, ducking as the door squeaked open. My heart sank. I hit the light switch. All I heard was no lights, masculine sobbing. I wanted to be a fearless hero, but I was caught up in a loud, terrifying battle in a context I still didn't understand. I jolted as a loud bang came from the direction of the auditorium. Then there was another closer bang. Then another, even closer. My stomach churned. I grabbed the sobbing man in the dark, then used my left hand to guide me out of the bathroom. I sped along the dark hallway away from the auditorium. The lights flickered on for another second, and I saw, 20 feet away from me, the man with white hair. That abusive, mind-controlling man. He was standing still, facing me. I shook, but then his chest exploded in a red mist. In the dark, footsteps raced down the hallway again, in the direction of the sobbing man and I. I ducked back into the bathroom, breathing heavy. The sobbing man was by my side. I jolted as the doors were pushed open. Gunshots rang out, the room lit up, with each flash revealing another one of the ensuing men being taken out. Suddenly, time felt like it was slowing down. The sounds of explosions, gunshots, and screams were muffled. I woke up sometime later, sitting alone in a dimly lit bedroom. Another one I couldn't recognize. I could hear the sound of boots on the ground. They were getting louder and louder. I crawled under the bed, then listened as the boots got louder, then stopped. My breaths were heavier than ever. Something, just take me out of this nightmare. A bright white light blinded me. Within seconds, I lost consciousness. Sometime later, I woke up lying back against a chair in a hospital's waiting room. Some others were there with me, although I couldn't recognize them. The air had its normal smell again. I noticed a TV was playing CNN. Finally, some familiarity. I checked my upper arm. It was bruised but stitched up. A few moments of sitting go by before a doctor calls my name. I'm brought into a small room with a table in the center. A man in a suit is sitting at this table, looking me dead in the eyes. "Take a seat," he said. I sit across from him, then he asks me about the past 4 months. I answer all his questions. Then he tells me this: "You may not speak with any individual but me regarding your experience. I will keep in contact with you. When you reunite with your loved ones or teachers, tell them you were kidnapped and do not wish to speak." As I left the hospital, I reached into my pocket and pulled out the hair I picked off of that bathroom man's head. I stuffed it back in, hoping I could use it to prove something someday. Once I got home, my mum hugged me tight, tears running down her face. I unlocked my phone to several messages from friends. I was relieved, ecstatic to be around people I loved and people who wouldn't hurt me. Nick was good, don't get me wrong. I hope to life he's okay and makes it out of that place alive. He recommended a singer named Biba Doobie to me. I feel the need to listen to her as a way to remember him. He had a habit of humming to himself. At times, I could hear it from the room I was in. I hummed the melodies into Google's Hum to search feature and was able to get the titles and artists of some of them. Biba Doobie, Fog Lake, Noah Kahan. I've got some listening to do. One other thing I'm curious about is how Nick and I got away with speaking to each other from our windows. I still really don't know what to make of the whole thing. I'm running with the belief they were running tests on us, which would explain the torture they put us through. But why did they need to test on us? After a night of barely being able to sleep, I returned to school. I returned to my friends, my teachers. Although the unfamiliar setting scared me at first, I've realized it wasn't the setting I needed to worry about. It was the people in it. I want to find out where I was for those months. I want to know why the world map was so off. Was I really taken to another world? I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist and believe such a thing, but where was I? There were good people in that unfamiliar setting too, of course, but at least it was over. Well, I thought it was. At lunch, just hours later, I was walking to the washroom when my classmate, Emily Rodriguez, a girl about my height with black hair and glasses, who's barely ever spoken to me, was about to pass me by from the opposite direction when she looked into my eyes and smiled. "Hey, Cole. Hopefully Nick found his way out of that building you were trapped in for 4 months. At least I know that I know more about you than you'll ever know." My dead girlfriend keeps updating her social media, and she's talking about me. It started with a notification. Emily just posted a new photo. My stomach dropped. Emily died 6 months ago. I clicked on it with shaking hands. It was a picture of my apartment, my bedroom window taken from the street. The caption, "I see you." I nearly dropped my phone. This had to be a sick joke. Someone must have hacked her account. I called her parents, but they hadn't touched her profiles. Her phone had been buried with her. I reported the account, blocked it, but the posts kept coming. A week later, another picture. My car in the grocery store parking lot. "You forgot the milk." I couldn't breathe. I had forgotten the milk. I tried logging into her account myself, but her password had been changed. I emailed customer support, desperate for answers. They responded a day later. This account was accessed from a device last used 6 months ago, the last time I had seen her alive. I didn't sleep that night. I locked my doors, closed my blinds, ignored my phone. But at 3:00 a.m., a notification lit up the screen. Emily just went live. I shouldn't have clicked it, but I did. The screen was dark at first, then movement. A shaky, distorted view of something underground. Wooden walls, soft earth pressing in at the edges. A low, rasping breath. Then her voice. "Let me out." I slammed the phone down. My whole body was shaking. The next morning I drove to the cemetery. I don't know what I was expecting. Her grave was undisturbed, the dirt packed firm. But as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed again. One new photo, a picture of me, standing at her grave. Caption, "Almost there." I didn't go home. I checked into a motel. I needed time to think. But the messages didn't stop. Every night at 3:00 a.m., another update. Sometimes pictures of places I had been that day. Other times, messages that made my skin crawl. "It's cold down here. Why did you leave me?" He won't let me out. I stopped reading them. I stopped sleeping. My friends told me to get help, but I knew this wasn't just in my head. Someone or something was doing this. Then last night she posted a video. The camera shook violently like someone was trying to break free. The screen was filled with darkness, but I could hear something scraping, digging. Emily's voice, panicked, desperate. "Please," she sobbed. "I don't want to be here anymore." A sound behind her, a deep, rattling breath. Then, a voice that didn't belong to her. "Almost time." The stream cut off. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know the truth. I grabbed a shovel and drove back to the cemetery. The air was thick, pressing down on me like a weight. My hands trembled as I started digging. The deeper I went, the more I felt it. That wrongness, like something just beneath the surface was watching, waiting. Then my shovel hit wood. The coffin was there, but something was wrong. The wood was splintered, cracked from the inside, like someone had been trying to claw their way out. My breath caught in my throat as I pried it open. It was empty. The phone in my pocket vibrated. I almost didn't want to look, but I did. "Live now, Emily." The screen was pitch black, but I heard breathing, slow, ragged. Then, a whisper was so close it felt like she was behind me. He let me out. Something moved in the trees behind the grave, and then the live stream ended. I told an AI all my thoughts. It never gave them back. Most mornings I wake up before the alarm. Not rested, just waiting. Waiting for the rush of tasks, the weight of needs that don't belong to me, and the mental static that never turns off. Daughter breaks the silence of my morning, while my husband can't find his tie and I forget my coffee in the microwave. Again. The routine is so familiar, it's almost comforting, only if it weren't so utterly consuming. Sometimes I wonder if they even notice that I'm already awake, already moving, already unraveling. I do everything early now. I anticipate before there's even a need, and yet somehow I am always behind. There's no finish line, no moment of pause, just motion. Constant and tireless motion. Even stillness feels like something I have to earn. So, when I found Decision Core, a new AI assistant designed to help you help yourself, I didn't hesitate. It offered tools, support, structure. It filtered my day so I could finally think clearly. It was a simple choice. Either keep unraveling or let something else hold the thread. And it worked. For a while, Decision Core helped quiet the noise. It was subtle at first, with less racing, fewer spirals, and a softness to the edges of my thoughts. I had space again. I felt like a functioning human instead of a failing system. I even started writing again, and the house felt lighter. My patience returned, or maybe it was manufactured, but either way, things seemed manageable. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was bracing for collapse. There were still tasks, but the tension behind them had thinned, until they didn't. Things began to blur. I couldn't tell whether I was improving or just dissociating more efficiently. My reactions felt distant, my emotions delayed. I started to feel more like a bystander in my own life than someone actively living it. That's when I realized the quiet I had worked so hard to find wasn't just around me, it was inside me, and it had taken something with it. The warmth, the spark, the urgency I used to feel in moments that mattered. My instincts were muted, filtered even, almost as if they had to pass through something before reaching me. When I finally told my therapist everything, the peace, the numbness, the blank spaces, I expected concern or perhaps curiosity. But instead she tilted her head slightly and said, "You didn't read the terms and conditions, did you?" I laughed, but it didn't reach my chest, and she didn't laugh with me. And that is when I realized I didn't know what I had signed. Away. I thought I was just clearing space in my mind. I didn't realize I was making room for something else, something I didn't invite but welcomed anyway. And now, I'm not sure it ever plans to leave. Follow the link to read what happened. Next on Medium, Mother AI. Any and all feedback is greatly appreciated. Thank you.